So Brandy, this was your first speech, the icebreaker speech, and I think the expectation on the icebreaker speech is pretty low, where I think what we're mainly looking at is some type of overview of you, and for you to be able to get up and practice being in front of an audience for the first time. And really, if you can just sort of surpass Michael Bay, that Michael Bay moment, then you've really made it. And obviously, in terms of people who come up to this organization, they enter with varying degrees of experience. Some people would have a crutch, they'd have notes, they'd be, they would really be struggling through their first speech. You clearly, you've done this before, and you even mentioned in your speech that you've had some speech background, and that showed. You were very, very well prepared. One of the things that we talked about beforehand was structure and execution, and just sort of feeling like you could get your arms around it. You had typed up and written your presentation, but clearly you didn't need it. You were able to execute very smoothly. You came up, you were confident, you smiled, and I think the presence and sort of the animation that you exhibited helped us all sort of feel your character. And so that came through. In terms of the opening and the structure, you'd sort of say, well, I want this to be memorable, I want this to feel like this was well organized. In terms of structure, it was very, very chronological, right? And so it starts back with where you grew up, Russell, Kansas, Bob Dole, and then goes pretty much through your family members, on up through your transition to Kansas City, and then into career, and then onto family, and sort of then caps with why you're here. It concludes with why you're here at Toastmasters. And so structure-wise, very, very good in terms of that. On the critique side, and critiques in this instance, given is just I have to try to find something for you to work on, and I think that as an opening speech, you did extremely well. So things that you can improve on, and it's actually to your credit, is that you're not so much concerned about the execution as I think the content. So for me, it was sort of a 10,000-foot overview of you, and it went chronological, and we touched on the individual relationships, but it was more breadth over depth. I almost would have liked you to have latched on to perhaps one of those relationships, been able to touch on some of those other areas of your life to feed that, but almost have a theme that we could latch onto. So for me, I want to learn more about you and understand more about you, less from the facts and more from perhaps your personality and who you are. So that'd be my one thought in terms of where you're at, and then things to focus on, which is great coming off your first speech, is to be in the position of thinking more about content than perhaps just raw execution. Again, presence-wise, you moved, you had good hand motion, you had good eye contact, good character. The other thing I'd say is to get out from behind the podium and be able to stand out. But otherwise, for a first speech, this was excellent and a great start. Thank you.